You're listening to the Jewish Entrepreneur Podcast with Debbie Sasson, episode 126. If you want to make six or multiple six figures this year in 2024, then my group coaching program, Wired for Wealth, is just for you. Wired for Wealth is my lifetime access coaching program designed for coaches, creatives, and service providers who want to create consistent $5K, $10K, and $15,000 income months with a small audience. Wired for Wealth is the only group program that includes live weekly group coaching calls, business strategy, an income-based curriculum, copywriting, editing, and feedback, money mindset, and so much more to walk you into a six and multi-six-figure business that will take care of your family. We will support you through all of the challenges, difficult decisions, and growth that comes with growing a six-figure business in this industry. I have walked several clients into their first $50K, $100K, $200K, and $500,000 years using our Wired for Wealth method. And I will be sharing all of the details inside of my free masterclass, 5 Pricing Myths You Need to Bust to Make More Money and Keep It, happening on June 6th. You can go to my website, debbiesasson.com/wealth to get all of the details. The investment to join this lifetime group coaching program where you get unlimited live weekly coaching for life is $555 for 12 months or $6,000 pay in full. VAT applies for residents of Israel. I will see you inside of Wired for Wealth on June 6th. Welcome to the Jewish Entrepreneur Podcast. I'm your host, Debbie Sasson. I went from being a financial advisor, author, and chronic under-earner to building my business to six figures as a financial planner and money mindset coach, and then onto multiple six figures as a full-time money and business coach. I help entrepreneurs create money-making businesses and build wealth using sales and money mindset strategies and in alignment with authentic Jewish values. Now, let's dive in to today's show. Hello, my friends, and welcome back to the podcast. I hope you are having a beautiful Passover holiday. This episode is dropping during the week of Passover, what we call Chol HaMoed. And since we are in the middle of a series on mastering the money game, I thought it would be very relevant to share with you an episode that I recorded about a year ago at this time. It's an episode that I called Slow Money Will Make You Rich, and the episode was a tribute to the 4-year anniversary of my book, The 1K Investor, Simple Smart Steps to Start Investing with $1,000 or less. You'll hear about that soon in the podcast episode this week. And I want to specifically highlight a point that I made last year, which is that if you consistently invest $100 in the stock market over your lifetime, the amount of money that you can grow, the wealth that you can grow over the long term is mind-boggling because of the compounding effect of the returns that you're going to earn in the stock markets. And that is slow money, and it is consistent action that you take to build wealth long term. What I didn't speak about in that podcast episode, but I want to spend a few minutes now before we jump into the episode and invite you into the replay, is that it is the same exact thing that will enable you to build wealth through your business. Consistent action compounds over time. And what I find working with so many of my clients is that they will kind of have this like stop and start rhythm to their business. They will go out, they'll do some marketing, they'll go in a massive flurry of writing emails and putting that into the world. They'll do some social media posts. They'll go to one networking meeting and then drop networking for another 9 months or a year. They won't follow up with coffee chats. They won't continue meeting people on a consistent basis. And that is where you shoot yourself in the foot when it comes to building your business. I mentioned to my clients this week, the week that I'm recording this podcast, that when you're building a business, the golden rule is always be marketing. Find the 2 or 3 marketing channels that you love. It can be a podcast. It can be emails. It really should be emails because email marketing is golden. The people that you have on your email list are your people. They have opted in to get your genius, to get your words of wisdom every single week. And yes, make it consistent. Write your email every single week and send it out to your people. What I see from some business owners is they'll send an email and then they'll forget about it for a little bit. And then maybe 3 weeks later or 5 weeks later, they'll send another email and then they'll send another email. It could be another gap of a month or 2 months. And there isn't a consistent pattern to sending your emails. If you are not yet up to a consistent cadence, make it a cadence that can work for you. Commit to sending 1 email every single month. And then narrow it. Commit to sending 1 email every 3 weeks, and then narrow the gap. Send 1 email every 2 weeks, and then narrow the gap again. And people say it's so hard. I don't know how to write emails. I don't know who I'm talking to. I don't know how to engage my audience. But here's the thing. The way you connect with your audience, the way you learn to help them solve their problems ahead of time, the way you help your clients with the value that you share ahead of time, that develops by you doing it. I want you to think about it like learning how to swim. You jump into the swimming pool and you don't know what to do. Imagine yourself as that little kid who never took a swimming lesson before. You're going to maybe, if you're lucky, hold on to the side. You'll be coaxed a little bit to put your face and your head in. And most little kids in the beginning, they'll scream, they'll cry, they'll be afraid. If you want to learn how to swim, first of all, you got to jump in the pool. You will never learn how to swim by sitting on the side in that patio chair. You got to get wet. You have to learn to kick your feet. You have to learn how to move your arms. You have to have a rhythm. You have to learn the strokes and then you perfect the strokes. But the only way you can do that is by getting wet. Jump in the pool and swim. Do laps over and over and over again. I'm not saying that you need to go and do the Olympic athletic version of swimming in the swimming pool, but if you want to swim, you got to do your laps. It's like putting in your reps in the gym. And it's the same principle with business. If you want to build wealth through your business, you got to put in your reps. Commit to action, consistent action. Create an email list and send an email every single week for the following year. And then send it again and send it again and send it again. I've been sending emails to my email list for probably 10 years or more. I can't even remember anymore when I opened my email list, but there's consistent action there. And with my podcast, I'm up to episode 126. Do you realize that's over 2 years of podcast episodes? And you get better at what you do by doing it over time. So if you want to build wealth through your business, if you want to have a consistent flow of clients coming to you, commit to consistent marketing action. And the long-term value of the work that you put into your business, that is what's going to create your steady flow of clients over and over and over again for the long term. And that's how you're going to master the money game of your business. But now, my friends, let me invite you into the episode that talks specifically about slow money, making you rich through investing. Let's go. Today, we are going to be talking about how slow money makes you rich. I read that line recently in the book Happy Money by Ken Honda, and I don't even think that I read the words that were underneath that headline, but I so loved what Ken Honda had to say in his book, and it just kept turning over my mind, and I thought this is a great topic for a podcast. So I'm not going to speak only about investing, but we will speak about investing, but we're going to talk about slow money today from 4 different aspects. The first one is investing and my book and what that will help you understand about long-term growth and how doing it slowly will make you rich. The second aspect is spending, and many people are caught in the cycle of overspending and how slowly reducing your spending will help you get rich over time. Then we're going to talk about your business and pricing and raising your prices over time. And the last point we're going to talk about today is your nervous system and how important it is to slow down and heal your nervous system in order that you can expand to feel more comfortable with money, feel more comfortable talking about money, receiving money, charging higher prices, and even being surrounded by people who are having money conversations and making lots of money. So let's start with number one, which is all about investing. And really, actually, before we start, I just want to say that the principle for every single one of these points, all four of them, is that slowing down will speed you up. We live in a society where we want instant gratifications. We have our phones where we just can press a button and very quickly the message goes all the way around the world. And then we expect within 3 seconds, we're going to have a response from the other person that we just sent our WhatsApp or Voxer message to, or whatever, systems you're using. And we can speak with people on video, whether it's by Zoom or FaceTime, whatever it is. We have this urge for instant gratification, and we expect it also for some reason that's wired into our brains and bodies and our nervous systems. We just have this expectation that we can also get rich quick. We can make money quickly. And there are times where people get really lucky with their investments. I recently heard about Disney acquiring Lucasfilms. Lucasfilms is behind Star Wars. And I forget the terms. Maybe I'll bring it in a future podcast. But maybe it was like a $4 billion or $10 billion investment that turned into $70 billion over the last, I think, 11 years that Disney acquired Lucasfilms. I think it was a $4 billion investment, which has created $70 billion of income and wealth for Disney. And that was about 150% return on their investment. What I speak about in my book, however, is that if you start investing when you are young, and I know that some people listening to the podcast are younger and some people are older, but let me just share the principle with you. And that is investing $100 a month for 45 years. That means from the time you are 20 until the time you are 65, which is retirement age in some countries. And I know that we are pushing retirement age out. So take it from the age of 25 to the age of 70. But basically for 45 years, consistently, you would be investing $100 in long-term investments. And over time, that $100, which if you count it up, 25 years, 12 months, the number of $100 bills you would put into your investment account will add up to $54,000. And your investment, if you invested it in the stock market, which has an average annual return of about 10%, your $54,000 will multiply to $502,000 because of the magic of compound interest. That means your $54,000 was invested. You earned interest on your investment and interest on your interest and interest on your interest. And the cycle continues for 45 years such that you gain back $448,000 in compound return on your investment because you chose to go slowly and every month set aside $100 in an investment account. Again, I'm going to specify that this would be specifically an investment in the stock market, which has an average annual return of 10% over time. This is how slow money, not going into a super high risk, like the stock market over time has always had a positive return. If you take any slice of 25 years, and that includes the Great Depression in 1929, any 25-year slice of time has always had a positive return on investment. So I personally don't consider it very risky if you have a long-term investment horizon. And that's why the majority of our personal wealth is in the stock market because it's so easy. I can put it in a market tracking fund, set it, forget it, and it will continue to grow over time. That's my approach to investing, and you can read more about it in my book. Point number 2, let's talk about spending. And there are people who are either Overspenders, that's just their nature. People kind of divide out between spenders and savers. So I'm speaking specifically to those people who are overspenders for emotional reasons, and that's a different topic for a different podcast. And or also people whose families have grown, their expenses have grown, their kids are older. As a mom of 5 boys, 3 of them are now in their 20s and 2 of them are married and don't live at home, but I still have 2 teenage boys at home. They eat a lot of food. God bless them. My girls also as teenagers ate a lot because their bodies are growing and developing, but there is nothing in the universe like a teenage boy. In my next reincarnation, I want to come back as a teenage boy and stay that way because I can eat as much as I want and I can sleep as much as I want. And it just seems like, I'm chuckling a little bit, but it seems like just the perfect life. And they have so much energy when they wake up. They could just go bicycle riding and camping and hiking and all the things that I love to do for, it seems like, forever. Anyway, if you have a family and if you are having a growing family, your expenses continue to grow over time. And then there's education. Like we think that once they're out of diapers, all of a sudden we're going to have a lot of spare cash on our hands. But that is so not true. There's education and there's food and there are all the extra things that families need as the family continues to grow. So you might find yourself strapped for cash and in the cycle of overspending. What most people want to do when they want to reduce spending is make these drastic cuts to their budget. And it is so uncomfortable. We're going to speak a little bit about the nervous system at the end of this podcast, but it's a jolt to your nervous system to go from living in, let's call it abundance, overspending, but living one way, and all of a sudden there's a drastic reduction. Change takes time. I'd like to recommend to people that they go through their budget first and track what they're spending. Before you're making any changes, just the very act of tracking your spending, which is tedious, but doing tedious work will make you lots of money. Doing tedious work will make you rich. When you do the tedious work of tracking your money, it's amazing. All of a sudden you have awareness around where your money is going, and that gives you the opportunity to make different choices. People say to me, they come to me, well, we're cutting back, we're not spending, I haven't gotten myself any new clothes in 3 years. But when you actually look at the numbers, whether you did or didn't spend any money on clothes for yourself in the last 3 years, it doesn't matter. But there is usually some fluff that can be cut. And then when you start cutting, don't make drastic choices. Think about making a 1% reduction in your expenses every month. So as I'm recording this in May, if you would reduce your expenses by 1% in May, and then 1% in June, and another 1% in July, and you keep going, it will end up that by the end of a full year, you will actually have reduced your total expenses by 37%. And you help your body, your brain, your family adjust slowly to the reduction in your spending. Now, you might find things that you can cancel altogether. Maybe there's a magazine subscription that you no longer use. Maybe you could call your cell phone company, have them reduce your fees, or your bank or something like that. Insurances, you might be able to change your deductible. There might be some sweeping changes that you can make that will yield fantastic financial results in a very short time. But if you're talking about your electricity or food expenditures, things like that, do those changes slowly so that you give yourself, your body, your brain, and your family time to adjust. When you feel confident that the process is going to work, you trust it, you stay in the process, that's when slow money, slow changes, slow reduction in your expenditure will make you rich over time. Let's move on to point number 3, and that is in building your business. And this is really where I work mostly with my clients. When you are pricing your offers, and last week when I met with my group coaching program students from Wired for Wealth, we solidified signature offers. And your signature offer is what you are offering to your clients, the terms and conditions of your offer. If it's a coaching program like I'm offering, my program is 9 months long, so those are my terms and conditions, and we meet 3 times a month. And then there's the price, which is $6,000 for my offer. Your price is something that you decide in your mind reflects the value of what you are delivering to your clients. Now, in the beginning of your business, you probably wouldn't be able to take a program like mine. Let's say you wanted to run a group coaching program and charge $6,000 because there's going to be a misalignment in what you know about what you're doing, the services you're providing your clients, the results that your clients are getting, and also the way you're feeling in your body. I always love coming back to the body because the body has all of the wisdom and all of the information that we can use when we actually drop into our bodies and we really pay attention to what's going on. If you try to take an offer that you have and charge a very high fee in the beginning, you're just going to feel very, very shaky when you're saying that out to your potential clients, and they're going to sense that. They're going to sense your lack of security and confidence and safety and believing in your value. So I always recommend that you start a little bit lower. It should be a stretchy kind of a price, not something that's going to snap you and snap your nervous system and make you crazy, but you can stretch a little bit. And I said this to one of my new Wired for Wealth clients yesterday, who is reconfiguring her offer from a 3-month offer to a 6-month offer and setting the price. And I said to her, this is not your forever price, because she was thinking the 3-month offer times 2 is more than the 6-month price. And I was like, yeah, but let's get comfortable selling this 6-month offer at this 6-month price. And then after you've sold 3 of these or 5 of these, then you know that you will be able to deliver. You know that you have clients who are saying yes. You know how to sell it at this price. And then when you really connect more deeply with the value and you feel more certain about it and more confident about it, then you will be able to raise your price. If we look at the long term of our business, kind of like looking at that 45-year history of investments, but if you're looking at your business as a 10-year or 20-year or 30-year going concern, the difference of $1,000 on your 6-month offer today, or even $5,000 on your 6-month offer today versus where you will be in 10 or 20 years from now, again, it's just a drop in the bucket. So slow money, raising your prices slowly so that you will feel congruent in your body, that is what is going to make you rich over time. Number 4, let's talk about our nervous systems. And this is the part of the podcast where I'm going to remind you that if you are listening here with me today, that you have inherited ancestral trauma living in your nervous system. If you were raised as a woman, if you are Jewish like I am, if you are a person of color, there is a 100% chance that someone in your immediate bloodline was punished for having the audacity to have money, to make money, and to thrive financially. I'm Jewish. I'm a direct descendant of people who were arrested, imprisoned, fled from their homes in countries where they were living. There is some anecdotal evidence that we were also living in Spain during the Spanish Inquisition, but I don't have, any evidence of that I can find. It's only family hearsay and stories. On my dad's side of the family, my grandfather, who co-owned and co-managed a large department store in Germany, was forced to sell his store for 1/10 of its true value. And then shortly thereafter, my grandfather was arrested on Kristallnacht, the night of broken glass, on November 8th, 1938, and then he was imprisoned in the Buchenwald concentration camp for 3 weeks. Thankfully, my grandfather already had a visa, so he was able to leave Germany, but he fled pretty much with just the shirt on his back. And then when he got to the United States, he worked as a janitor and as a Fuller Brush salesman before he actually went to night school and learned bookkeeping, and then later in his life he became a bookkeeper. Shortly after my grandfather fled, my grandmother and my father followed my grandfather to the United States, and they were able to take some of the family heirlooms, and there are a couple of wooden pieces of furniture that I remember growing up with in my grandparents' home. But mostly they left their possessions, most of their possessions, and even my grandmother's father, they left in Germany because, forget the material things. And actually, my grandmother's father did not die in a concentration camp in the Holocaust. He died of natural causes in 1943, which was, something that sort of calms my nervous system. But basically, when my grandparents left, it was like, leave the stuff behind. let's just save our skin because life matters, right? It's either live or die. And it was the same thing on my mom's family. My grandparents on my mother's side left family wealth and family businesses, and they fled to the United States. And my family built everything up from scratch. And if you are anything like me, whether it's your grandparents' generation, your great-grandparents' generation, even 6 generations back, inherited trauma will be living in your nervous system. And you might feel that in scarcity around your pricing, scarcity around talking about money, scarcity in like spending. You might be overspending and you don't even know why, but there could be internal programming and internal wiring that's giving you messages like we have to get this all now because maybe tomorrow we're not going to have enough money. So the question is, if you have, and it's not even an if, because you have inherited ancestral financial money trauma living in your body, living in your nervous system, what do you do about it? The first step is that you want to orient your nervous system to safety. Now, orienting is actually something that I do with my clients when I work with them one-on-one, or sometimes I even do it when I'm working with my group. And EFT tapping is another one of the modalities that I use to help calm our nervous systems and close stress cycles. But let me give you a specific example because yesterday, one of my clients expressed that she was in a cash crunch, and this happens. It's so normal. Let's take the shame away from being in a cash crunch. Life happens. There could be a medical expense. There could be a family celebration. There could be something unusual. Your car broke down. You needed root canal, whatever. There's so many reasons why we get into cash crunches. You didn't plan correctly. So let's just have a rule between us that there's no guilt, shame, or embarrassment around cash crunches. It's something that happens, and we can learn from the experience to make sure that we plan as much as possible to have a cash cushion. But anyway, my client wanted some coaching on pricing a custom proposal because she was in a cash crunch. And she asked me, like, is this coming from scarcity? And the first thing I did is I validated her worries and concerns that yes, it's coming from scarcity. Again, let's unshame financial scarcity. Sometimes it happens that you don't have money, and that is okay. We're just going to use this as an opportunity to learn. And I told her that it was good that she recognized that her pricing and her worry and her spinning in her mind around what was happening was coming from scarcity. And already knowing that, having the awareness, that is a huge first step, because when you're aware of what's happening, that's when you have the opportunity to heal it, right? We have these dark places in our lives. We have these scarcities. We have the spinning heads. Let's use them to heal and grow and expand. And let's stop being afraid of dark places. Let's stop running away and trying to get out of scarcity as quickly as possible. That's when you end up in these get-rich-quick schemes and trying to make fast money. But let's use these opportunities for growth and healing and expansion. And as I said to my client, when your nervous system is activated and scarcity, and we've talked about this before on the podcast, your brain is thinking, no money, no food, I'm going to die, right? And as I mentioned about my grandparents, let's save our lives instead of die, right? But when you are feeling that financial scarcity, this is your invitation to slow down. You could do some deep breathing. You can do some orienting. You can do tapping on your shame, on your scarcity, whatever's coming up for you. Or as I told my client yesterday, give yourself 15 minutes, 20 minutes, whatever it takes to close your stress cycle. Move your body, go for a walk, give yourself time. This is where we slow down money in order to get rich. This is when we slow down the things that we're doing. We're not going to be a human doing. You're going to be a human being. You allow yourself to be in your body and find out where you're feeling triggered, where you're feeling scarce. Is it tightness in your belly? Is it in your jaw? Is it in your throat? Do you feel tension in your shoulders? Is your body like frizzled and fritzing out because there's this electric charge running through you? Again, is your head spinning? Notice what is happening in your body. Slow down. Allow and help your body process all of the emotions that are coursing through you, because when your emotions are high, you don't have the ability to think clearly. Your intelligence and your higher thinking powers are low, and you want to be able to access your higher level thinking in order to send a custom proposal or any pricing proposal to a potential client. You want to do it from confidence. You want to do it from certainty. You want to do it from just awareness of what you're doing. And what I recommended to my client, because her original proposal was rejected, her potential client really wanted a smaller job. And my client was like, well, what she's offering me is only 2/3 of what I think it's worth. And what my recommendation is you can accept her proposal and have in your mind that your client is getting an amazing deal because she's getting, let's call it $3,000 worth of value for $1,500. Or as I said, 2/3, she's getting $3,000 worth of value for $2,000, whatever it is. And you can just be so grateful and thankful because you are in a position of scarcity right now. You do need some money coming in the door. You can be thankful that God sent you this client right now and just be so happy for her that she's getting such a great deal. And this is the way God set things up in this moment. And I also told her she could go back and negotiate if she wanted to, but not from a place of frenetic, need money, have to get money in the door. I'm in a cash crunch. I need to get it now. But do it from being grounded. Do it from like, hey, maybe we can negotiate a middle path. I said 3, you said 2, maybe we can settle on 2,500. Whatever it is. And there's no right answer. It's whatever you feel in the moment. But allow yourself to feel financial scarcity. Allow yourself to heal from the body up. When you heal down into your nervous system, that is how you earn up the income ladder. That is how you slow down money in order to become rich. So let's just recap for the end of the podcast. Slow money will make you rich with your investments because you consistently invest small amounts of money over time. And if there's a financial dip, a stock market crash, whatever, you don't get scared and pull out. You keep investing at lower prices. Slow money will make you rich with your spending when you slow down to track what you're spending, make different choices, and then slowly reduce your budget, reduce your spending. And small changes every month will result in large changes over the course of the year. Third point, raise your prices slowly in your business until you can be fully congruent and fully aligned with the price that you're charging and the value of the results that you are delivering to your clients. And point number 4, no shame in being in a place of money scarcity. And we all have inherited ancestral trauma around money living in our nervous systems. And when you slow down and really find out what is coursing through you, what's the energy like, what's happening, and you allow yourself to go to those dark places, that is the way you heal your relationship with money and you earn up the income ladder. I want to remind you that on my website, you have access to a free money mindset workbook. Go to my website, debbiesassin.com/mindset. And you have some exercises in that workbook to help uncover your limiting beliefs and money blocks when it comes to money as a person, a civilian, as a business owner. And I give you the opportunity to reframe some of the thoughts that you have around money so that you're learning new thoughts and new behaviors. So go to my website, debbiesassin.com/mindset, and I will see you next week on the podcast. Bye-bye for now. Thanks for listening to the Jewish Entrepreneur Podcast. If you want to stop underselling and under-earning and close more sales, you need to clear the limiting money beliefs that are sabotaging your business growth. Head on over to debbiesassin.com/mindset and download my free Money Mindset Workbook. Uncover and dissolve money blocks like hundreds of other entrepreneurs who are now building 6, multi-6, and 7-figure businesses and creating true financial freedom.